Let's get it! 580 Sports Talk coming at you on a red Friday afternoon. The Chiefs and the Texans on Saturday afternoon at Arrowhead Stadium. Patrick Mahomes is a go. Hollywood Brown is a go. Is 14-1 a go? We'll make our predictions, break it down, tip to tail, on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream. The YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Hey, we're 4 subscribers from 700. Who will be the hero? Can we get over 700 today? Are there 4 of you out there today who will go to our YouTube page, 580 Sports Talk, and subscribe and get us to that magic number 700? I bet there are at least 4 of you who will do that. If you go to youtube.com and you find 580 Sports Talk on YouTube and you subscribe to the channel, which brings you great member benefits like, actually working on that part, but great member benefits. And you get to be part of the cool kids table. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. Watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Facebook at WIBW News as well. Dan Lucero here with you. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. And Brendan Dworzinski remains on paternity leave. We've got 2.5 hours, roughly, of 580 Sports Talk today before we break away for the last 580 Preps high school basketball game of the week of 2024. We've got a doubleheader coming your way from the Charger Dome tonight as Topeka West hosts Shawnee Heights. Boys game should be a dandy. That's 2 top 10 teams in the state doing battle tonight. Number 3, Shawnee Heights. Number 8, Topeka West. Girls game should be competitive as well. Looking forward to bringing you both games tonight. Myself and Larry Latimer, the coach, on the call. Pre-game coverage around 5:30, we would say, from the Charger Dome. And we'll bring you the tip-off of the girls game 15 minutes after we go live. So very excited for that. And in the next 2.5 hours, we've got lots of football to get to because it's not just a Red Friday, of course. It is a Football Friday on 580 Sports Talk, a jam-packed weekend in the NFL's. Week 16 is underway. And, of course, the first college football playoff first-round games of the new 12-team format starting tonight in what looks like might be snowy South Bend, Indiana, as Notre Dame takes on the Indiana Hoosiers. Then the 3 games tomorrow as well. We will talk plenty about that. They will come up certainly in our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk picks as our picks contest returns for yet another week. I will depart after What Is Wrong With You to get out and set up at the Charger Dome for high school hoops, but Spencer's going to talk plenty of ball in the 4 o'clock and the 5 o'clock hours. So it is outstanding to be with you on this Friday, and we want to hear from you today. Text line is open, 785-272-9429. We were inactive on the text line for a little bit. We were having an issue with the provider. Issue appears to have solved itself. So maybe it didn't solve itself. Maybe somebody behind the scenes did the work of solving it. I shouldn't say that like it was magic. Anyway, we can get your text now. So text us, 785-272-9429. Also, if you're watching on the YouTube stream, we have the live chat that's available. You're watching on the browser. You're watching on your mobile device. You're watching on a streaming stick on your television. The live chat is available to you to comment and interact with your hosts and interact with your fellow listeners. Mark H. is in the chat. Mark B., Clayton, Christopher joining us here already today. And we look forward to more of you joining us throughout here on the live chat on our YouTube live stream. Again, the channel name, same as the show name, is 580 Sports Talk. Like I said, we're going to preview the Chiefs, go heavy on the Chiefs in this first hour. We've got our keys to the game. We got our big Chief picks. We got our final score projections. Will the Chiefs cover what is a 3.5-point spread? Will the over-under, how will that come into play? The total is 42. We will get into that. And, of course, Matt Derrick is going to join us, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. We'll get Matt's thoughts on where the Chiefs stand heading into this week 16. One minor change to the availability for the Chiefs on Saturday, the availability list anyway, the injury designations. Thankfully, it does not involve a worsening of the status of Patrick Mahomes or Hollywood Brown. But Leo Chanel came down with an illness and has just been added to the participation list and is now considered questionable for Saturday afternoon's game against the Texans. Again, that's Leo Chanel, questionable with an illness. But everyone else appears to be good to go for the Chiefs that we thought would be good to go when we concluded the show yesterday. So lots of Chiefs here now. Number one, our Bet Prairie Band picks, Prairie Band Sportsbook picks contest continues. I'm only half a game ahead of Spencer. I'd been a game and a half for a long time. He's got me on wins, but I have him on fewer losses. Actually, no, I guess if I'm 35, 40, and 1 and he's 36 and 40, he's got me by half a game. Yeah, that's how that works. So apologies to Spencer for the misspeaking there. He's got me by half a game. That's unacceptable. I can't have that. So I got to catch up with Spencer this week as he makes his picks later on in the show as he joins us later on. Brendan, of course, remains the leader on winning percentage as he, of course, remains on paternity leave. And he's kneeling out the clock on his victory in this year's 580 Sports Talk Picks contest. That's coming up. We'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You, our last weekly champion for a full week in the year 2024. We'll see if the professional drinker ends up being a wire-to-wire winner. 580 Sports Talk headlines. And again, we're off at about 5:30 today for high school basketball. Topeka West hosting Shawnee Heights on our 580 Preps game of the week. Thank you for being with us. We really appreciate you hanging out with us on this Friday. Let's be honest. If you're at a desk right now, you're not doing anything. You're like, remember that episode of The Simpsons? How many times I said that on this show? All of my pop culture references are to a show that's been on the air almost as long as I've been alive, and that I haven't watched a new episode of in like a decade. Anyway, you remember the Simpsons episode where Homer works from home because he goes on disability? He puts on a bunch of weight on purpose so he can go on disability and work at home. And he figures out a way to be productive at his workstation. He gets one of those like bobbing bird toys that, you know, they've got like water in the bottom and you just bob them up and down. And he just would get it to bob up and down and hit the letter Y for yes. Every time his computer asked him any question, the answer is always Y for yes. So he got the bobber to do all the work for him. You probably got something like that set up if you're working, certainly if you're working at home today on this last Friday before the Christmas week. And maybe even if you're at your office, you've got the bobber going as well. But why not kick it with us, right? Why not hang out with your pals at 580 Sports Talk, and perfect way to take you into the weekend. A football weekend and an early start for the Chiefs as they will be a noon kickoff tomorrow at Arrowhead Stadium. It's the Chiefs and the Texans, two teams that have already clinched division championships. The Texans winning the AFC South because by rule somebody has to. The Chiefs clinched the AFC West several weeks ago. An important game, no question about it, for the Chiefs as they continue to pursue that number one seed in the AFC and a bye week that they could most certainly use and benefit from. The Chiefs control their own destiny on that. I see a lot of people saying, Buffalo's gonna get it. Are we sure? Chiefs just need to win 2 of their last 3, and it doesn't matter what the Bills do. It doesn't feel like the Bills are going to slip up. They play the Patriots twice and the Jets in the next 3 weeks. A friendlier run-in I've never heard of. What, they couldn't schedule Kent State? So you would imagine that the Bills should handily take care of their business and finish 14-3. But the Chiefs have a mulligan to spend as well. If they finish 15-2, they're going to be the 1 seed. So 2 of their next 3 for the Chiefs. They've got a Texans team at home. They are favored to beat. They've got a quick turnaround at Pittsburgh, but it's a quick turnaround for Pittsburgh too on Christmas Day. And then they've got the long week of prep going into week 18 if they need to play it against the Broncos. And if we learned anything about the Broncos last night on Thursday Night Football, they are the paperiest paper tiger you've ever seen. They are 8-0 against teams below 500, and they are 1-6 against good teams. 1-6 against teams with a heartbeat, essentially. So that's what the Broncos are. And yes, that includes the Chiefs. And yes, the Chiefs were fortunate on that particular Sunday afternoon at Arrowhead Stadium to get out with a win thanks to that blocked field goal in the final play. But paper tigers, that's all I'm saying. You would like the Chiefs' chances to win 2 of the next 3, particularly considering the fact that, they've won 13 of their first 14. We're all guilty of this at times. Sometimes we look at what something isn't and we overlook what something is. And what this Chiefs team isn't, a lot of things. Consistent, explosive offensively, healthy. Some of the things that we pay attention to them being frustrating, playing a bunch of close games. But big picture, they are 13-1. That does not come easy. I know that people will point to past history and say, yeah, there have been teams that started 11-1, 12-1, and they weren't actually good. I think it was the Vikings 2 years ago that started 11-1, 12-1? And then they ended up losing a home playoff game to Daniel Jones and the Giants. Here's the thing about that Vikings team, though. Their quarterback was notorious fraudster and con man Kirk Cousins, who is going to retire having made $321 million for every playoff win in his career, which is to say he will retire having made $321 million. And they were also coached by not a Hall of Famer. That's why this whole thing about winning close games is repeatable. Because of who's doing it, because of the pedigree of the team that is doing it. A team that has proven to you, to us, over and over and over again, that they win the close games, that they win when the chips are down, that their Hall of Fame quarterback and Hall of Fame coach find ways to get the job done. That's how they've gotten to 13-1. And if they get to 14-1, it'll probably look pretty similar because every Chiefs game feels exactly the same as the one that came before it. Trevor points out in the YouTube live chat, the Steelers were 11-1 last year, a couple of years ago, and then they lost a home playoff game to the Browns. You watch what Ben Roethlisberger was that season, right? Ben Roethlisberger couldn't throw the ball from me to the opposite studio. That was an accident that they were 11-1. And you could see any team that could take advantage of the fact that Ben Roethlisberger couldn't throw the ball far or even medium far anymore was going to be able to take them down. So, yes, there have been teams who started well and felt fraudulent and were fraudulent. None of them have what the Chiefs have. And none of them have proven it over and over again like this core group of the Chiefs. They're going to have to prove it again against a good Texans team. I do think this Texans team, I think we overstate, again, some of the difficulties that they have had. They're an outstanding defense. It's been a bit of a step back this year for C.J. Stroud, but he's still very capable. They've got 2 outstanding weapons on the outside in Nico Collins and Tank Dell. Joe Mixon's still one of the better running backs in the league. This is a dangerous football team, and it is a losable game for the Chiefs on Saturday. How do they win it? Perfect segue into my keys to the game. I've got 3 of them today. Here's my first one. I saw this stat yesterday on Twitter. Aaron Schatz, FTN Fantasy. He cited this stat. We, again, have brought up the nerd numbers before on this show. One of the prevalent nerd numbers across the football analytics spectrum is DVOA, defensive value over average. And the Chiefs right now as a team are 7th in DVOA. That's pretty good. But you can rank teams in DVOA and you can rank players in DVOA, and you can separate that performance. It's the performance metric, essentially. High good, low bad, that kind of thing. So it would be bad to be 31st out of 32 in the league at something. Like if you were 31st out of 32 in the league in DVOA in a certain category, that would not be good. Folks, Aaron Schatz tweeted yesterday that C.J. Stroud, against the blitz this season, against 5 or more men rushing the passer at the snap, C.J. Stroud against the blitz ranks 31st out of 32 qualified quarterbacks in DVOA. He is one of the worst quarterbacks in the league when pre-snap pressure is brought by a defense. Does that sound like information that Steve Spagnuolo might really enjoy having going into game prep this week? I bet it was. I bet that made him smile real wide when he saw that C.J. Stroud this season has had a lot of difficulty against the blitz. And the reason he's had a lot of difficulty against the blitz is because his offensive line is a sieve. You think the Chiefs' offensive line has problems. The Texans' offensive line has been a mess from the start of the season to right now, an unmitigated mess. And Steve Spagnuolo loves to bring pressure. And at any opportunity, the Chiefs need to do it. They need to heat C.J. Stroud up so that he is not able to make those big connections and those explosive plays to Collins and Dell down the field. Now, the Chiefs are in better shape to be able to blitz because one quarterback that they blitzed a lot about a month ago was Bryce Young. Chiefs blitzed Bryce Young quite a bit. Two things there. One, Young's numbers had actually been improving against the blitz since his return to the lineup at that time. It's actually been getting better against the blitz. The other thing that was true at the time is that there were a lot of really easy safety valve routes that teams could run and beat the Chiefs on because Najee Johnson had just stepped into that role as the starting outside cornerback on the other side of Trent McDuffie and was having a hard time. And so there were a lot of quick sideline outs that you could get rid of the ball and beat the blitz and have easy completions and convert on third down and keep the chains moving. That was true then. That has not been true the last 3 weeks. Lots of things have happened the last 3 weeks. Charles Omenihu coming back has given the Chiefs another defender who can win one-on-one in the pass rush. But Joshua Williams has returned to the lineup on the outside, and his ability to be physical in coverage on a play like that, well, that's shut off the safety valves a little bit against the blitz. That's why Jameis Winston had trouble getting the ball out against the blitz. That's why Justin Herbert had trouble getting the ball out against the blitz. That's why C.J. Stroud might have some trouble getting the ball out against the blitz. So that is key to the game number one for me. Get after C.J. Stroud and heat that man up. Heat him up for 60 minutes. Number two key to the game. We talked about this with Mitch Holtz, voice of the Chiefs. He joined us on yesterday's show. If you missed it, hour-by-hour breakdowns of the show available on our podcast page, 580wibw.com, as well as on Spotify by searching 580 Sports Talk, or you can watch the archive video streaming yesterday's show on our YouTube page, 580 Sports Talk. That's a little thing called Synergy. Anyway, Mitch Holtz has joined us yesterday. Joins us every Thursday throughout the Chiefs season. And he talked about the need for the Chiefs to avoid turning the ball over against the Texans. The Chiefs have been turnover free for a month. 1 month's worth of games, 4 games, no turnovers. The Texans have turned over their opponents 25 times in the last 9 games, including 5 games in that stretch where they've turned the opposition over 3 or more times. Turned the Dolphins over 5 times last week. Turned the Lions over 5 times. Famously lost that game, by the way. But avoiding turnovers is a must. This is a really good defense. It's going to be hard enough to move the ball against in the first place. It gets even harder if you're giving the ball away. Turnover-free, mistake-free offensive football. If that means a more conservative game plan, at least early on, if that means more of a commitment to the run, good. Been begging for more of a commitment to the run from this team in recent weeks. They've gotten away from it for big portions of the game each of the last 3 weeks. This week, don't do that. I guess that's a key 2B, I guess. 2A is limit turnovers. 2B is do it by running the ball. but you have to limit turnovers because this is a team and a defense that really thrives on creating havoc and making you make mistakes. The Chiefs, on the other hand, are really good at not being the team that makes mistakes. They haven't been great at making the other team make mistakes, but they've been good still at making fewer mistakes than the other guys. And that has to continue on Saturday. Final key for me, and I don't necessarily know what goes into this. What's going on at halftime? I don't know. I don't know if the Chiefs are just like going into the halftime locker room and putting on like some yacht rock as music to set the tone. Maybe it's we got a playlist for my son. When we feed my son his last bottle of the night, somewhere between 8:30, we're getting ready to put into bed. We put on this like ambient music playlist on Spotify on our TV, and we use that music, and it helps along with the bottle to put our son to sleep for the night. Maybe they're playing that. Maybe they're pumping that into the locker room. Maybe they're just taking Quaaludes by the fistful. I don't know. All I know is the Chiefs come out not ready to play, especially on offense in the third quarter of games, and it's driving me crazy. Now, last week, the defense showed up in the third quarter. They forced 2 turnovers on, I think it was like the first 4 offensive snaps, definitely on the first snap of the third quarter, but they forced 2 turnovers, bang, bang, and the Chiefs did score off of that first turnover, the Bolton interception, to take a 21-0 lead and essentially put the game on ice right then and there. But you think back beyond the Browns game, think about some of the gross third quarters you've seen, particularly in recent games where the Chiefs have gone into the locker room with substantial leads and opportunities to build on those leads and just not done it. Laid a big wet fart on offense in the third quarter of games. That's got to change. I don't know why that's happening. There's no real good reason for it. The Chiefs at times have moved the ball well to start games. They have at times moved the ball very well in the second quarters of games. And of course, when they've had to, they've made the plays in the fourth quarter to go win games. But the third quarter's been a mess. So I don't know. Maybe Mahomes and the O-line and the skill guys got to just lay off the Quaaludes, or maybe they got to put a little more pep in their step. Maybe they need to play our playtime playlist that we have for Asher when he's kicking around on his mat, and then we fire up like Raffi and Baby Shark and all those, you know, the hits. Maybe that's what they need. I don't know. But they can't sleepwalk through the third quarter because the Texans have the capability to quick strike. Even if the Chiefs have a lead into the locker room, build on it, grow it, keep the other team at arm's length instead of having to sweat out another fourth quarter on Saturday. We're going to take a quick time out here after my keys to the game on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer will have his keys for you a little bit later on. When we come back, predictions, big Chief picks, who's going to win and why, we'll tell you as we're just getting started on this Red Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. 3:32 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero and Spencer Dupuis with you. Spencer's in to give you a big Chief pick and a prediction for this coming Saturday afternoon, the Chiefs and the Texans. According to our friends at Prairie Band Sportsbook in Mayetta, the Chiefs currently 3.5-point favorites. Remember, that line was Texans minus 2.5 on Monday when we were all uncertain whether Patrick Mahomes was going to play. Jesse Newell of the Kansas City Star, by the way, wrote today that he thinks Mahomes is going to be just fine. Like, based on what he saw in the limited media look at practice and in the locker room, he says Mahomes moving around like nothing's wrong. So, paraphrasing here, but isn't concerned about Mahomes' health for Saturday in this game. So the Chiefs are 3.5-point favorites. The total is 42. I'm going just over the total, but I am taking the Texans to cover because I can't pick the Chiefs to win by more than a field goal at this point against a team with a pulse. I got the Chiefs, though, 23-20, and I think Xavier Worthy is going to have a good game, another good game. He's my big Chief. I think that even though the deep ball chemistry is not quite there between him and Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs are finding ways to get Worthy involved and create some good plays, chain-moving plays, explosive plays out on the perimeter. And I think you'll see a continued evolution of that with the return of Hollywood Brown, making for one other weapon that the Texans defense has to account for down the field. So Xavier Worthy's my big Chief. I think he's scoring another touchdown. Spencer, what's your pick?
Back to your Mahomes point. I think the matureness of Mahomes and the fact that the game was in hand, and I don't know, I'm assuming Mahomes pulled himself out of the game. Like if they said that he could go back in the game and the game wasn't in hand, I think he would have gone back into the game, which I think would have hurt him this week. But I think him staying out of the game helped in the long game of this.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Chiefs winning. They do cover. They win 27-21. I had Hollywood Brown as my big Chief pick in his first game back, but I think he's going to cause the defense to get a little distracted. And I think I pulled him away from that. And I think Travis Kelce might see a touchdown this week because of the different. You saw one snap with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it one snap?
One snap.
Yeah, one snap. He caught the ball.
One preseason snap.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they don't have a lot to go on with him in the Chiefs game plan. So I think Travis Kelce is going to benefit from that.
We'll take a break, come back, see what Matt Derrick thinks. Our Chiefs insider joins us after this time out here on 580 Sports Talk. We go to Kansas City and our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick, joining the program. Matt is the Chiefs beat writer for ChiefsDigest.com. I say Chiefs beat writer. It's a little redundant, Matt. It's not like Chiefs Digest has like a Titans beat writer. You're the writer for ChiefsDigest.com. The Department of Redundancy department is going to haul me off. But anyway, you can find Matt on social media at Matt Derrick, and you can, of course, catch him on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline every Friday here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt, are Chiefs fans ever going to get to just enjoy a win this year? Because even a 2-score victory on Sunday comes with the injury to Patrick Mahomes that has him hobbling off. Are Chiefs fans ever just going to get to watch 60 minutes of football and be like, yeah, I really enjoyed all of that?
No. I mean, no. I'm convinced that it's not going to ever. I'm convinced it's never going to happen, Dan. I mean, I don't even remember the last time that the Chiefs fans truly got to enjoy a win, and all they've, of course, done is win. So I don't know. Maybe it's the price you pay for having Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback and having this absolutely dynastic streak is that it's the God's way of punishing you to just make sure you suffer a little bit.
Yeah, it has been quite a year, and it's a 13-1 record after that 21-7 win over the Browns on Sunday. 6 turnovers forced by the Chiefs defense. Well, defense/special teams. Chris Roland Wallace forced that fumble on the punt return. How important was that? How necessary was that for a Chiefs defense that has struggled to create those kinds of plays throughout the season?
Oh, I think it's absolutely huge because, like you hit on it, I mean, this team has struggled to get 2 things, turnovers and sacks, and they got a bunch of both of them against a team that they needed to. I mean, if you didn't turn over the Cleveland Browns, Jameis Winston, who in the world are you going to turn over? But we've also seen just that turnovers and sacks can be infectious. It can be something that comes in bunches. So, this team is now talking a lot more about getting more sacks and turnovers, and they feel like that they can do the same thing against the Texans. Not at, I don't think the same rate. Texans should be too good to turn over the football 6 times, but, they feel like that they can get to C.J. Stroud. They can put some pressure on him. They can pick up some sacks. They feel like they can force a couple of turnovers. So, it's a confidence thing on another side. I mean, even if it just feels anecdotal that turnovers and sacks come in bunches, I think there's something to be said for having the mindset because, for me, I feel like Trent McDuffie's going to get another interception this week. After never having one, you feel like once he got his first one that he was going to produce a bunch of them.
Yeah, it would be nice to see the dam burst for Trent McDuffie after he picked up his first career interception last Sunday. You spoke about the pass rush, Matt, and it has been much better. 11 sacks in the last 3 games. Now, that happens to neatly coincide with Charles Omenahu's return to the lineup, and obviously he's been impactful. He had a strip sack on Sunday. But is it all Omenahu being back, or what other factors have enabled the Chiefs to start producing and getting sacks after generating pressure but not generating sacks for most of the season?
Yeah, and it may be the same thing we're going to be talking about when we talk about the passing game and receivers. But, is Omenahu that big of a difference? Maybe not. But is it just the one piece that you needed to tip the scales to maybe be the critical mass? Quite possibly. Because, Omenahu he's come in much stronger than I thought he would be. I mean, I think you can definitely give him credit for that and his recovery and his training. And it helps, too, that he's coming in late in the season. I mean, he's got nothing to hold back. It's not like a guy coming back from an injury in week 1 and realizes, hey, I've got to get through an entire season. Maybe you hold a little back. Guys in this situation also, usually aren't 100%, but maybe he's got a little bit of adrenaline knowing that he's got a short season and he's able to push through, and maybe we'll see how long it lasts too. I mean, it could be that he hits a wall, but right now he's playing really well, which means that that's another guy that you got to pay attention to. And when you're already giving, double teams and sometimes triple teams to Chris Jones, well, now it just weakens the protection elsewhere. It gives George Karlaftis an opportunity to maybe get some better matchups and more quality opportunities. It gives Tershawn Wharton an opportunity to have maybe better looks at the quarterback. So, Chris Jones has done so much to open things up, and I'm just not felt like the other guys on the pass rush have always taken advantage of that. Now that you have Omenahu in the mix, not only is he contributing, but I think just the extra attention that he attracts is helping out the other guys. And then maybe you are getting a closer look at what this pass rush used to be like the last couple of years when they had 55 sacks a season.
Matt Derrick is joining us, our Chiefs insider here on 580 Sports Talk. Matt joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. You can check out his work again at chiefsdigest.com. All right, Matt, let's look ahead to Saturday because for the first time since the first snap of the preseason, we're going to see Hollywood Brown on the field in a Chiefs uniform. He's been cleared. He's good to go. Do you anticipate any limitations for Hollywood Brown as he takes the field for his Chiefs debut?
I would certainly expect some snap count, variation. I mean, I don't think he's going to go out there and play 60 snaps or anything. Probably be about half that, maybe 40. I mean, I would expect him to be in the kind of 30-40 range. It could vary a little bit depending on the situation. But, otherwise, I think that they just want to see what he can do, knock off some of the rust. I don't think there'll be any limitation for him as far as routes or anything of that goes. We'll see what kind of role he plays. I mean, ideally, what the Chiefs would love to have in their typical 11 formation defense, your offense would be, to have him as the X, have Xavier Worthy as the Z, who can be a guy you put in motion, and DeAndre Hopkins in the slot, and you add that with Travis Kelce and one of these running backs, and I think that's a offense that's really hard to stop if you've got a reasonably healthy quarterback who can deliver the ball on time, on schedule. So I don't think there'll be a huge, restrictions on him. I mean, unless anything happens, once he survives that first hit and that first tackle to the ground, I think he's probably going to feel pretty good.
In what ways do you think they'll try and get Hollywood involved? What kinds of concepts, what kinds of routes do you think would be best to utilize him in this first game to get his sea legs and get him feeling good?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I mean, because he can do the whole route tree. I mean, there's nothing that you really have to limit with him. I mean, obviously what got people excited about him in training camp and during OTAs was the deep ball. He's got a great ability with that. He's a great tracker of the football, best probably tracker on the team. And it's not necessarily Tyreek Hill elite, but it's up there. And I absolutely wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I think absolutely Patrick Mahomes wants to take a shot, at least one, towards Hollywood Brown deep. We'll see how many they get to take downfield because this is a really good Texans pass rush that's not necessarily going to give Mahomes a ton of time in the pocket to look for something deep. But I think there's absolutely going to be a chance that they want to take a couple of those shots downfield. Other than that, I mean, I think you'd like to try and get him the ball in space a little bit. I'd keep him out of the slot myself just because I don't think you want to put him in a situation where he's doing a lot of over the field, in the middle of the field routes that could expose him to some pretty big hits. But working outside, doing some, even you might even need to do some back shoulder throws. I mean, I think there's a confidence and a chemistry with Mahomes and Brown that there's a lot of different things that they can do, and even just straight out routes. And that's something that, I mean, I think Hollywood Brown can do his sleep.
Matt Derrick is joining us here, our Chiefs insider on 580 Sports Talk. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, a mild high ankle sprain. He said throughout the week that it did not feel as bad as the last time we saw him sprain an ankle, which, of course, was the divisional round playoff game in the 2022 postseason. He practiced in full this week, says he's ready to go, no injury designation. How do you expect the Chiefs might try to make sure he's a little more protected than he has been the last couple of weeks?
Well, and that's one of the things when I talk about protecting Mahomes, and this is just after saying, maybe taking a couple of shots towards Hollywood Brown. I mean, one of the things that if I'm Andy Reid and Matt Nagy, I'm probably doing is that I'm probably limiting the opportunities that Patrick Mahomes has in the game plan to take some shots deep downfield, because you want him to get rid of the ball quickly. You want him to get the ball out of his hands on time and on schedule, just drop and throw this week, because you don't want to be hanging around in the pocket any longer than you have to. You really want to get rid of that ball in under 3 seconds so that you're not having to put a lot of pressure on that ankle by running around or eluding anybody. The Chiefs always say, and I truly believe it, I give them the credit for this, that they're not going to put a player in danger of not being able to protect themselves. So I got to feel that Mahomes is at least comfortable moving a little bit. But he's certainly not going to have his speed and elusiveness that he normally has. So you got to protect him a little bit as far as, designing plays that will help him get rid of the football quickly. But with Patrick, that's the other thing too, is that you can't leave anything on the table. I mean, it's difficult because you do have to stretch the field to break up the defense. But at the same time, if you give Mahomes the opportunity to look for a receiver deep, he's going to do it. And he's going to hang in there, and he's going to take some hits. And that's just the one thing you don't want your quarterback to do this week. And the only thing I thought is the whole misnomer, Dan, is that I've never heard of a minor high ankle sprain.
No.
I mean, high ankle sprains, none of them are minor. It's like having a minor gunshot wound.
Yeah, mild, the term they use. That was really funny. The suggest that there is a spicy picante ankle sprain that must have been the one he had in the playoffs 2 years ago that he, of course, somehow managed to not only play through but win a Super Bowl on. So a couple more questions for Matt Derrick. Let's really dig in now to this matchup against the Houston Texans. What do you think will define this matchup? The aspect of this game that the Chiefs have to decisively be better in if they want to take away a win on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting matchup because it's a really good, I think, defense against a really good offense on both sides, and that's what it's going to kind of come down to. I think is just which is more productive. And the Texans' defense is good. I mean, it's statistically it's very, very good. I mean, you sort of make the argument that maybe it's better than the Chiefs' defense. I just think that going up against Patrick Mahomes, and especially after Tim Settle stepped on his cape a little bit, and the team's cape this week a little bit with the mouse. I think that's probably focused this offense even more, motivate him. We've seen what Patrick Mahomes can do with a little tiny motivation. So I think that, especially having a veteran quarterback against a defense like that, I think you got to favor the Chiefs matchup at least being better than average against this defense. But when I look at the Chiefs defense against C.J. Stroud and that offense, I think they match up extremely well. I think they can take C.J. Stroud out of this game. And, one part of that's going to start with Nico Collins. You can't let him have a big game. And it's a bit of a size discrepancy, but I'm assuming you're going to see a lot of Trent McDuffie on Collins this week. He doesn't play much in the slot. So, that means that McDuffie is going to stay on the outside most likely. And, Chris Roland Wallace, that role is left by Chamari Connor in the slot nickel position. That'll be a big matchup. Just his ability to stand up in that spot, especially with the problems that the Chiefs have had at the corner position. So a lot's going to be on all those corners this week. I mean, especially Chris Roland Wallace. But I just think that this defense, especially the way the front four has been playing in the pass rush, I think they can get to C.J. Stroud and make him uncomfortable. I think they can get some sacks and some turnovers. And if that's the case, I think the Chiefs win this game.
Let's live in a world real quick, Matt, where the Chiefs do win on Saturday and the Patriots, as 14-point underdogs, go to Buffalo and beat the Bills. That would be a world in which the Chiefs would have locked up the number one seed in the AFC with 2 games left to play. Do you think Andy Reid would dare to sit his starters for 2 weeks, particularly given the short week, or do you think the starters are playing on Christmas no matter what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful disaster waiting to happen because I would love to see what Netflix thinks about spending $75 million to not get Patrick Mahomes on Christmas Day. But yeah, I mean, if I'm Andy Reid, I think what I would be tempted to do absolutely would be to just break it up a little bit. Maybe there's some starters. I mean, like, Travis Kelce wouldn't need to play those last 2 games. I might have let Patrick play a little bit in one of those games, just that he's not completely rusty. But hey, you talk about being able to give what would be 30. Well, I can't even do the math now. I know it'd be 25 days from, I guess, Christmas. If you gave him a few more days, that's going to be 30 days. You gave that much time of rest to that ankle of Mahomes, he's going to be 100% before the divisional playoffs. So I think there's quite a few of your veterans that you'd love to be able to give that rest to, get them healthy. The whole plan for this entire team, for the most part, with some minor exceptions of rushing some people back. I won't mention Harrison Butker by name, but or Patrick, but they've been trying to just make sure that they're 100% healthy by the playoffs, and this would give you that opportunity. So I'd be tempted absolutely to sit some starters on Christmas Day.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs for ChiefsDigest.com. You can find him across all manners of social media by just searching for his name, Matt Derrick, and you can hear him Fridays on 580 Sports Talk on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Matt, enjoy the game Saturday. Enjoy your Christmas. Have a very Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you next week.
You too, Dan. Happy holidays to your family and everybody out there. Take care.
That is Matt Derrick. We'll take a short break, come back with a quick round to change my mind to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk.
All right, real quick to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Change my mind. The free catch kick that the Chargers used to score 3 points against the Broncos last year is one of the plays of the year in the NFL.
I can't change your mind because I think so too. I was so like, what in the world?
First time since 1976. You know you can do that anytime you want. After any time you call a fair catch, you can have a free kick on the next play. There's
I
a
thought
reason.
it had to be with the time.
No.
Oh.
Anytime you want. Just doesn't make sense to, like try a free kick of 90 yards if you free catch kick at like the 20. Or you want to try and drive the ball if you have time to drive it. But yeah, Jim Harbaugh knew the rule. His team knew the rule. They got a 57-yard free kick field goal at the end of the first half, and they end up beating the Broncos last night. Jim Harbaugh pulled Sean Payton's pants down around his ankles and spanked his butt blue, and I appreciate that so much. We're going to take a break here at 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we got our 580 Sports Talk Prairie Band Sportsbook picks, plus What Is Wrong With You coming up next hour. Let's get it. Hour number 2 on a Red Friday, Football Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our YouTube video stream. You can stream us right now on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. You can also watch us on Facebook at WIBW News. Get a load of Spencer's Christmas sweater. What do you got going there, Spencer? I put you on. What is that? What am I looking at?
You're looking at a soon to be the greatest goal scorer of all time, holding up the 2018 Stanley Cup.
That's Alex Ovechkin with
Yes.
the Stanley Cup in the style of a Christmas sweater. I don't own any like Christmas sweaters like that. That's a nice one though.
Yeah,
I like
I
it.
don't. You won't like where it came from, though.
Fanatics?
No, Barstool.
Well, do they manufacture their stuff? Like, was it printed straight and does it fit you?
Oh yeah, it's great. I
Then
mean, I've
hey.
had this for like 4 years. I've had this since 2019. 5 years.
Because that's more than Fanatics will give you sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Fanatics will print it sideways or give you the wrong name, the wrong number, wrong team. There used to be a really great Twitter account. I think they backed off. I think Fanatics threatened them with legal action.
Yeah.
I think they had to back off a little bit. But they were posting people like yelling at Fanatics. You gave me a Tyreek Hill jersey, but it had the number 8 upside down on it. I guess an upside down 8 really isn't it, just an 8.
It does look weird though.
It does. Or like somebody ordered an Isaiah Pacheco Chiefs jersey, and where Chiefs apparently, they don't print Chiefs on their jersey. Like some teams have the team name up on the jersey right below the neck, and they printed Broncos on the Isaiah Pacheco Chiefs jersey.
You're getting me a new jersey at that point.
More than that, you owe me for pain and suffering having to have something that said Broncos in my head.
Yeah, that is
But
true.
Hopefully, if you asked for some sports gear, a jersey, something like that for Christmas, hopefully Fanatics does right by you, because they have done wrong by a lot of folks.
Yeah.
I know somebody who ordered they ordered like a wasn't even what they got back was like a size 5X New York Islanders t-shirt, and it was not even close to the right size, the right item, the right sports, the right team, nothing. Just not even remotely close. They just excited to get whatever it was that they ordered, and like a tarp with the with the Islanders logo.
I will
on
tell
it.
you, some of these darn shirts that they're selling these days make no sense. They're like redundant. Like they say like Chiefs Football Club or something.
Yeah,
Like they're just redundant shirts that make no sense, or like NFC Eastern Division.
I like retro, inspired gear, but I don't need too many words, especially when it's a way that we haven't referred to like a team or a division for a really long time. I didn't ask for much this Christmas. We're trying to do it big for Ash. It's his first Christmas, so if I get shorted, that's fine. I don't need anything. We're just trying to make sure Asher has the best first Christmas possible. So Santa leaves me a lump of coal. That's fine. Long as he's good to my son.
Yeah, I've not asked for much because I'm going on a plane.
Yes, that's your gift. Is you get to see your family for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
That's that is a gift. We have a story of
You know what's not a gift though? My debit card getting hacked.
Oh no, did that happen?
Yes.
Oh man,
I got
defrauded.
defrauded, I guess, for $29.99
Where at?
from some site I bought Olivia a Christmas present from.
And they
From China. That
Uh-oh.
present's on the way, but it won't be here for a while. I ordered it 2 weeks ago. It won't be here for another month.
but they
Beside the point.
charged you additionally.
Yes.
Okay.
And then my bank canceled my card. Luckily, I have an account on my bank accounts that's attached to my parents, and I could send a card to my parents' house.
Oh, good.
So
So you'll be able to pick it up when you're home.
Yes.
So that'll be
hopefully.
part of your Christmas gift as well. Your new debit.
Yes.
We have another tale of sporting apparel woe from the text line from 785. Many years ago, I ordered a size 3XL Chiefs jacket from HSN and got a small LA Rams jacket. Close. At least it was the right sport. Text line's open, 785-272-9429. You can also jump in the YouTube live chat if you are watching the YouTube live stream. at 580 Sports Talk. Today's a great day to do that if you're at work, and normally you'd be like doing stuff, but you're not doing anything because nobody's doing anything the Friday before Christmas. Let's keep it real. So, jump in.
Yeah, nobody's here at our work.
Yeah, we're like, there's 3 people in the building right now.
Yes.
And we're 2 of them. And soon it will be 2 because I'm going to go do high school basketball. More about that in a second. So if you've never done the YouTube live stream, you want to check it out, you should do it. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube. We've got 696 subscribers. We're looking to get to 700. We want that. That can be your Christmas present to me. If you out there have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, consider that a Christmas gift to Spencer and Brendan and myself, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got about an hour and a half left of the show today. Again, we're getting off early for high school hoops, our 580 Preps game of the week. Final game of the week of the calendar year 2024. Should be 2 good games at the Charger Dome. Topeka West and Shawnee Heights in United Kansas Conference action. The boys game is a top 10 matchup. Shawnee Heights is ranked 3rd in Class 5A by the KBCA. Topeka West is ranked 8th, coming off of a big win of another top 10 team earlier this week, beating Piper. So both games should be really good. We hope you will join us, myself and Larry Latimer, on the call tonight from the Charger Dome. Pregame coverage again starting at about 5:30. So in the meantime, we got What Is Wrong With You coming up. Spencer's going to take the reins after What Is Wrong With You. He's going to impart his ball knowledge upon you. That'll be his Christmas gift to you, is some ball knowledge. Going to talk about Week 16, talk about the college football playoff. He's got some headlines he'll get to as well. And eventually he'll throw it over to me.
I think we're gonna split it up here. I think we're gonna talk college football playoff during this last segment, or the second to last segment of the hour.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna impart some ball knowledge with you on top of the later headlines that we have.
Sounds good.
In the 5 o'clock hour.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah. I figured I'd split it up, college and the NFL.
Spreading out the ball knowledge for your final show, Spencer, of 2024. You got to leave it all out on the field.
I do.
You can't hold anything back, as
no holds barred,
as Dan Fouts would say in The Waterboy. Last show of the year, can't hold anything back. Spencer, of course, he's on vacation next week, and Brendan will be on paternity leave, so it'll just be me on Monday, and then we're all off Tuesday through Thursday. It'll be me again on Friday, me again next Monday for the final show of 2024, and we'll have some fun with that. But in the short term, right now, right here in front of us, we got another week of football, which means we've got another week of picks. As our Prairie Band Sportsbook 580 Sports Talk Picks contest continues. What better place to watch a jam-packed weekend of football? College football playoff round 1, NFL week 16. Chiefs are in action tomorrow. Full slate on Sunday. What better place to take it all in than the Prairie Band Sportsbook up at the Prairie Band Casino and Resort in Mayetta, and get some action down while you're up there. Bet your way at the Prairie Band Sportsbook. Each week we make picks, college games, pro games, wild card pick. Currently the leader by winning percentage, which is a funny way to put it because neither of us has a winning record. But Brendan remains the leader on winning percentage with a 33, 34, and 1 mark. Spencer has surpassed me, which is unacceptable. Spencer is now 36 and 40. He went 2-1 last week. I went 1-2. We had a short week, obviously only one, really, I guess 2 college football games on Saturday. He did have that random bowl game that I had forgotten about, but we just picked 3 games, two NFL games and Army Navy. And I went 1-2. So now I'm 35, 40, and 1 on the year. Running out of time to avoid the basement. Yours truly here this year. But because Spencer has a lead over me, is ahead of me by half a game, I'm going to let Spencer reveal his picks first. 2 college picks, 2 NFL picks, and a wild card. Spencer.
All right, we're going to start first in the college football playoff here. I didn't really know if it was just any bowl game or college football playoff, so I stuck with college football playoff.
So if you wanted to pick any bowl game this weekend, you should have already made that pick because there's 2 in progress. Actually, 1 is just ended. Oh, Ohio won their bowl game today.
Yes, they won 30-27.
Ohio victorious
over Jacksonville State
earlier today, beating Jacksonville State
in the Cure Bowl.
That's what it's called?
Something Cure Bowl.
The Staff DNA Cure Bowl.
Yeah.
And at halftime in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, a real thriller, Florida leading Tulane 6-0.
Did you see what they did with the end zones?
Yeah, really cool end zone art.
Yeah.
Because so the Gasparilla, it's like a pirate festival thing they do in Tampa. So they have like treasure maps painted in the end zones. It was pretty cool. Anyway.
Way cooler than the 2019 Bad Boy Motors Gasparilla Bowl I attended.
So anyway, yeah, other than these bowl games today, there are only 4 college football games this weekend. They are the college football playoff games. Coincidentally, perhaps, you picked 2 of them. I picked 2 of them.
Yes.
So go ahead, Spencer.
All right. Penn State, I've got them winning by 9. They're favored by 9. I think they're gonna cover in this one. Ohio State by 7.5 or Penn State's taking on SMU.
Right.
Ohio State's taking on Tennessee. I've got them by 7.5. Both teams at home.
Yes.
I have them at home winning and covering. To the NFL, Washington, my favorite Commanders, are underdogs by 3.5 points at home to the Eagles. Washington is in a different spot they were the last time they played. Jaden Daniels was coming off that rib injury, wasn't performing to the ability that he can perform. Washington's also a lot more healthier, it appears, and Jalen Hurts has a hurt finger that is making him do some interesting things. It's hindering some aspects of his game. So I'm not saying Washington is going to win, but I think they are within 3.5 in this one. Kansas City, I've got them winning by 3.5. Obviously, I picked that game earlier. The score that I had, they were winning by more than 3.5. I had them winning 27-21 over the Texans. And then my wild card is I have the over in the Washington-Philadelphia game, over 45.5.
All right. That's your lock of the week, correct?
Yes.
You got the over in Washington, Philadelphia. Quick thought on your college game picks, since I know you're going to talk more about them moving forward. I do think if there's one game I think has the most blowout potential, I think it might be Penn State SMU. I like that pick. I don't think SMU is ready for that stage. It's going to be crazy in state college. The only thing that concerns me is it's James Franklin coaching a big game. And James Franklin likes to go into his little turtle shell when it's a big game. He gets super duper conservative, and they'll somehow only end up winning at like 17-14. But I think there's a talent disparity there, and I don't think SMU's ready for that noise. I don't think they're going to have any fans there. I think.
Well, I also don't think there'll be that many Penn State fans there.
Oh, they're going to fill it up.
I don't know.
What the hell else is there to do in state college?
There's been a lot of saying that these home games won't have a lot of people in the seats.
I do think that is probably
because of winter break.
Yeah, winter break, you got the students not around.
It's also right before Christmas.
But what the hell else is there to do in state college?
I mean,
they
true.
might not find 108,000 or however many people are there, but that joint will be jumping. There'll be plenty of people, and then if SMU doesn't sell their allotment of tickets, Penn State people will buy them up. The real interesting crowd is going to be the Clemson, Texas crowd. That's a crowd I'm very fascinated to get a look at, because there's stuff to do in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
In a way that there is not stuff to do in state college. Anyhow, my picks for this week. I've got the other 2 games on my ticket this week. Notre Dame, Indiana, laying the 7 with Notre Dame. I'd lay 14 with Notre Dame. Notre Dame's playing good football. Indiana doesn't have enough dudes. Full respect to the season that the Hoosiers have had. Kurt Signetti, National Coach of the Year. My hat is off to him. Indiana had never won 10 games in a season. They went 11-1 this year. They played 2 teams with a defense that had the faintest pulse, and it was Michigan and Ohio State, and they couldn't move the ball against either of those teams. I don't think they're going to move the ball a lick tonight against Notre Dame. They might put together a really good scripted drive to start the game, and you're going to be saying, Dan doesn't know what he's talking about. Look at that wonderful opening drive, just like the Ohio State game where they jumped out to the early lead. Scripted drives are wonderful things, and very often in the college game result in points because you have all week to work, and sometimes in some cases it's 2 weeks in this case to work on that scripted drive. Then you get off script, and then let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when Indiana gets off script. I just think Notre Dame's going to pour it down their throat for 60 minutes, and I will gladly lay only 7 points with Notre Dame. I thought that line was going to get up to double digits. I really did. I can't believe it's only a touchdown. So Notre Dame -7 there. Also got Clemson covering 12.5 at Texas. That feels like much too big a number. There's a chance that Texas just dominates the line of scrimmage and Cade Klubnik can't do anything because there's only one team remotely like Texas that Clemson has played, and that was Georgia in the opener. And Cade Klubnik looked like the worst player in America against the Georgia defense. And Texas is that good too. But the flip side of this is Texas's offense has not been very good down the stretch. Quinn Ewers is obviously like banged up. Like he is not 100%. And if Arch Manning were ready for prime time, you would see more Arch Manning. The fact that you're not seeing more Arch Manning right now tells you what you need to know about Arch Manning's present level of development. Doesn't mean I don't think he's ever going to be good. Just means right now he is not ready for this smoke.
Well, Quinn Ewers allegedly has some distractions. I don't know if you've seen this.
No.
Allegedly, he has a NIL offer from another school to stick around for another year in college.
Well, I don't think that's as germane to the game on Saturday as the fact that he's been banged up and he's not throwing the ball as crisply as he has. And I think Clemson can keep it close. I don't know that they're going to win, but Clemson's back seven, their linebackers, their defensive backs are playing well. They've got the ability to heat up the passer. Dabo Swinney's won more of these games than Steve Sarkisian has. I think Clemson keeps it close. And Mark thinks I'm out of my mind. Mark H, he says, no way. Clemson's not beating Texas. I don't know. Like, I would still say if it was just a straight pick 'em, Texas on the money line, sure. But I think Clemson can keep it close. And I think they can cover 12.5 on Saturday. Those are my college picks. My pro picks for the week. Didn't work for me last week, but I'm going to do it again. I'm going to take Pittsburgh in the points on the road at the Ravens. They always seem to play the Ravens tough. Lamar Jackson never plays well against Pittsburgh. So I'll take 6.5 points with the Steelers against a team whose number they've really had over the years. It's an opportunity for Pittsburgh, I think, to clinch the division outright if they win. So I think that'll be tighter than a touchdown. So I will take Pittsburgh plus 6.5. Also, lay 3 points with the Rams in New York. I know it's a cross-country trip, always dicey to try that, but I think the Jets are just about ready to quit, and I think the Rams have quite a bit more to play for. So I will lay 3 points, a field goal, with the Rams. We're playing good football and have the kind of pass rush that can bother Aaron Rodgers, which is to say they have any kind of a pass rush. My wild card pick for the week, I'm going under the total 46.5 in New England, Buffalo. I know the Bills have given up 40-plus each of the last 2 weeks. I don't think New England's going to put up 40-plus on them this week. I think they'll struggle to put up any points on them. I think Buffalo defense rises up, plays with some pride. I think the offense largely puts it in neutral a little bit, pulls out just enough to win. And I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. Buffalo, I think, still wins it comfortably. They're 14-point favorites, and I think they might cover the spread, but this feels like a 27-7, 27-10 kind of football game to me. So those are our picks. You can view them on our website, 580wibw.com, and keep track of the standings as we go along. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we got our final round of What Is Wrong With You for the week and crowning a weekly champion here for this third full week of December. You're listening to 580 Sports Talk. It's What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. 2 news stories today as we try to take down our current weekly champion. He's gone wire to wire so far, the professional drinker who blew a 3.26 blood alcohol content. Maybe he's onto something. If you're that drunk and you don't die, maybe you are a pro. But telling a police officer you're a professional drinker after you cause a multi-vehicle accident is not, in fact, going to help your cause. And so the professional drinker is now a professional felon, I think. I think he's got felony charges. Anyhow, that has been our champion. Real quick, though, an update on a previous champion or a previous story. I don't remember if it was a champion for the day. I don't think it was.
I don't think so. It was just a wild story.
Remember the people who lost all their money on that funny money with the Hawk Tua lady? Haley Welch is her real name. Not that she, she's kind of forfeited her real name at this point. She's just a Hawk Tua girl. She put out a cryptocurrency and it tanked immediately and people lost money because they thought it was a good idea to invest in something called Hawk Tua coin. Anyway, Haley Welch hasn't been out here in these social media streets for the last couple of weeks, kind of letting some things die down. Today made her triumphant return to Twitter to post, "I take the situation extremely seriously and want to address my fans, the investors who have been affected, and the broader community." She did not write this. "I am fully cooperating with and am committed to assisting the legal team representing the individuals impacted, as well as to help uncover the truth, hold the responsible parties accountable, and resolve this matter. If you have experienced losses related to this, please contact Berwick Law using the link below." She is begging Berwick Law to acquit on that thing. But I'm sorry, Haley Welch. You are going Hawk to a prison. Spencer, what's your story today?
All right.
Glad you enjoyed that.
A Florida man has been arrested for stabbing a delivery driver. He's facing felony charges.
Oh, goodness.
He was taken into custody Monday after being accused of stabbing a delivery driver in Fort Lauderdale earlier this month. Curtis Gardner, 33, is facing charges including armed carjacking, attempted murder, and burglary with battery in connection to a December 7th incident, according to his statement obtained by USA Today from the Fort Lauderdale Police Department. They said he allegedly attacked the unidentified driver who delivered Amazon packages and struck him with a knife. That driver was dealing with a flat tire at the time.
Man.
The driver went to a local store to help after the stabbing occurred. Security video captured the injured victim trying to get help at a nearby residence before going to a local store in the area, according to news reports. A Fiesta Food Market employee told WSVN that he saw the driver, quote, bleeding all over the body, end quote. Police and first responders got to the scene. The victim was transported to the hospital with severe injuries. He is expected to recover, authorities said. Amazon told USA Today on Wednesday that they are grateful the driver is recovering.
Jeez.
Police believe the attack was, quote, random. Quote, "We know that the vehicle was disabled due to a flat tire at the time of the incident. The flat tire does not appear to be intentional at this time. However, the investigation remains ongoing and the information is subject to change. He is facing felony charges."
Man, that's grim. Awful story. Thankfully, the driver is okay. For my story today, we're going Pennsylvania again. Back-to-back days. Are you familiar with what Jake brakes are?
No.
So a Jake brake is an engine brake, and it slows down the vehicle by using the compression of the engine. Usually semi-trucks with large diesel engines use them. They are Jacobs is the manufacturer of these engine brakes. That's why they're called Jake brakes. You flip a switch, and the exhaust valves open near the top, and it forces air in, and the air slows the engine down. They're extremely loud, and if these semi-trucks were using these Jake brakes near your place of residence, that might annoy you.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't annoy you enough to shoot at a truck driver.
What?
Authorities in Blair County say an Altoona man is facing attempted homicide charges after he reportedly shot at a passing truck driver on Tuesday. 53-year-old Michael Cervello was taken into custody late Tuesday afternoon following a brief standoff with law enforcement hours after he allegedly shot at a big rig passing by his home. According to the affidavit, police say the truck driver told officers he had experienced repeated issues with Cervello, who had reportedly expressed concerns with truckers driving through the area. Cervello reportedly made numerous statements, both publicly and on social media, expressing his discontent with truck drivers and their alleged use of Jake brakes. I'd like to be known as the guy who's mad about semi-trucks braking in front of his house on the internet. That is not how I would want to be known. Anyway, authorities say Cervello allegedly confronted the victim at his workplace and made public posts that accused truck drivers of personally targeting and harassing him, which he claims caused him to suffer PTSD and panic attacks. Police say on Tuesday the victim was reportedly traveling in the area of Spruce Avenue when his windshield was struck by a bullet. Investigators noted the bullet did not pierce the glass, but if it had, it would have struck the driver in the head. Police say the victim told officers he witnessed an individual run back into a home. The victims identified the home in question. A search warrant was issued. Police say Cervello initially refused to leave the home and later lied to officers about being aware of their presence after police discovered he was watching them on a home surveillance feed, which also captured the shooting. Police added that prior to Cervello's surrender, his wife, 51-year-old Amy Cervello, was also taken into custody while attempting to leave the home. Investigators say that during his arrest, Cervello reportedly went on an expletive-filled tirade about truck drivers and a lack of action by Altoona city government. Police say he also claimed to have made a social media post predicting that one of his neighbors was going to shoot at the next passing truck driver, but reportedly stated, quote, "You think I'm going to bleeping tell you?" Also, they found a bunch of weed in his house. According to court records, Cervello was arraigned Wednesday on over a dozen charges.
Wow. There's these two stories involve attempted murder, right?
Yes.
But yours is way more in depth. There's so much more levels to this thing.
Yeah,
so I think yours wins.
We at least understand his motive,
yes.
Even if it's crazy. The Jake brake mistake, does that take down the professional drinker?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think the professional drinker's wire to wire, our winner. And he enters the pool to try to become the December champion. We'll crown a December champ with the listeners' help on Friday of next week. And then the week following into January of 25, we will crown our What Is Wrong With You champion of 2024. I'm going to head out. I've got high school basketball. Hey, Spencer, this will be the last time I get to talk to you here for a while here on 580 Sports Talk. You're going on vacation.
Yes.
So I just want to say Merry Christmas, pal. And congratulations. You're almost a full year in here on 580 Sports Talk. So congratulations on making it from January to now. Wish you safe travels and wish you and Olivia safe travels and a very Merry Christmas, my friend.
Thank you.
And a Happy New Year.
Yes, you and your family the same.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take a break. Guys, I'll be back on Monday. We can do all the pleasantries with me and the rest of y'all on the other side of the dial later. But I've got to go. I got high school hoops. Spencer's got you the rest of the way after this on 580 Sports Talk.
Welcome back. Youngest in command movement here on 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuy with you for the final, let's say 50-ish minutes. Dan Lucero will be on the air from the final 580 Preps High School Basketball Game of the Week for the calendar year of 2024, coming up here around the 5:30-ish time slot here, depending on how the JV game goes. But we've got a lot to talk about between now and then. Heck, Jeffrey in the YouTube comments, why not? Throw me an AMA. We might have some time during the latter stages of that 5 o'clock hour like we have in the last couple of times. Why not? Let's do AMAs on top of everything else we're doing in that 5 o'clock hour. But right now we're going to talk college football here. We've got a game going on right now. We obviously mentioned the bowl ending earlier today. Ohio victorious over Jacksonville State in the Staff DNA Cure Bowl 30-27. But Jacksonville State made that a game late. They scored they scored 20 of the game's final 23 points. After being down 27-7 at halftime, they made it a 3-point game at the end, and it was Ohio's field goal in the fourth quarter that really did it. We got one game going on right now. As we said, it was a 6-0 lead earlier for Florida over Tulane, the United Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. It is still a 6-0 lead, just under 10 minutes left in the third quarter. And looks like Florida's trying to put more points on the board. They've got second and goal at the Tulane 7-yard line. Make that 6. It's now third down and goal. So they could make it 9-0 or they could make it 13-0. But we have a college football playoff game tonight. College football playoffs. We've been talking about it. They're now up to a 12-team playoff. College football playoffs off to the 12 teams, and we got the first game tonight in the first round game presented by Allstate. It's college football playoff first round game presented by Allstate. It's how they're labeling it. It'll be 7 p.m. on ABC and ESPN as number 10 Indiana at 11-1 travels to number 7 Notre Dame, also 11-1. That should be a good contest. Obviously, Kurt Signetti, Google him if you don't know who he is, right? That's what he said. That's his famous moniker. But it'll be at Notre Dame, a snowy Notre Dame. College Game Day is there live right now for a special telecast of College Game Day. That's what it is, a special telecast of College Game Day here. But Notre Dame favored by 7. Obviously, Dan took Notre Dame favored by 7 in this one. Obviously, you've got an Indiana team, an up-and-coming Indiana team versus an established Notre Dame team tonight. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's closer than 7. I don't think. I think Indiana covers in this one. We obviously look at Indiana and look at them. They are 11-1 in the season. Their lone loss came 38-15. To Ohio State before they rolled over Purdue 66-0. But they haven't really played in many games. I mean, that's their only game against a big time opponent this year that was actually what should I say, like contending. They started the season a 31-7 win over FIU. Western Illinois 77-3 win. I believe FCS team Western Illinois. UCLA 42-13. Charlotte 52-14. Maryland 42-28. Northwestern 41-24. Nebraska 56-7. Washington, I guess their only competitive game, 31-17. You can put that Maryland game up there as well. Michigan State winning 47-10. And then Michigan barely beating them 20-15. I still think Notre Dame wins in this one. It should be a very good matchup, obviously. The ESPN predictor has it a 70.4% chance that Notre Dame gets the win tonight. Riley Leonard, great season for him, but obviously facing tougher competition, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But then you look at the Ohio transfer, Curtis O'Rourke. He finished the season pretty good on his numbers. If you look at them, If you look at them, he was 202 for 287 for 2,827 yards, 27 touchdowns to just 4 interceptions. So a lot more touchdowns there. Should be a great contest tonight. Looking forward to the next college football playoff game. We've got 4 obviously this weekend. See if I can split this. No, I guess I can't. I thought you'd be able to split the bowl games out there. Tomorrow, pull it up here. Try not to get all the bowl games in here. Then tomorrow at 7 p.m. Where's the other one? Tomorrow at 11 a.m. we'll start things off with Penn State. Obviously, I have Penn State winning. They're favored in this one. According to ESPN, bet 9. They're favored by 9 at home against SMU. That'll be on TNT. So that'll be the first ESPN produced TNT broadcast for the college football playoff. The next game will be there as well. Obviously, I've got Penn State in this one. We talked about this earlier in the betting segment just at the top of this hour. The next game tomorrow will be at 3 p.m. on TNT as well. Texas favored by 12 over Clemson. I think Texas rolls in this game. I don't think Clemson has a legit shot in this one. Dan thinks they'll at least cover in this one, but I think Texas rolls. I think it's a double-digit kind of game, and Texas covers the spread here. Final game in the first round is tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Ohio State hosting Tennessee. It's a 9 and 8 game, the closest game by numbers point, obviously a 9 versus an 8. I do think that Ohio State wins this one, and I think it's a 7. They cover this, obviously. We had a Prairie Band at 7.5, but I'll take the 7.5 over Tennessee. I do think that Tennessee is a great team, but I think Ohio State's an even bigger team, and I think obviously for Ohio State and Ryan Day to feel good about what's going on, they need to win this game and create a rematch with Oregon. Taking on Oregon would be a huge game. That'll come on New Year's Day. So the winner, I've got Texas going on to face Arizona State. I've got Ohio State going on to face Oregon. I've got Penn State going on to face Boise State. And I've got Notre Dame going on to take on Georgia. I guess I'll make my predictions here all the way because I won't be on the show until the semifinals are there, because it's 12/31 and 1/1 are the Sugar Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Rose Bowl, and Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. So I'll just make my predictions for the rest of the college football playoff during this segment. I've got Georgia over Notre Dame. That's still a week and a half away. Georgia is preparing for the game without Carson Beck, so that to me is a toss-up. Apparently Carson Beck is exploring surgery options to repair the elbow on his throwing arm. Sources told ESPN yesterday his return this season's unlikely, and sophomore Gunnar Stockton is expected to make the start in the college football playoff game. I think that game's going to be a pick'em game or a 3-point game on where it's lined up wise. I think Notre Dame upsets Georgia without Carson Beck. I think Penn State beats up on and upsets Boise State. Boise State maybe not supposed to be there, but it'll be at the Fiesta Bowl site, so it'll be a neutral matchup. I think Oregon beats Ohio State in the Rose Bowl presented by Prudential, and then I think Texas beats Arizona State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. That would set up Texas versus Oregon in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, and Penn State versus Notre Dame in the Capital One Orange Bowl. That's my predictions. I won't be back on the show till after the new year, so I just decided to go and make my predictions for the rest of the. I just want to go make predictions for the rest of the college football playoff where I will not be here. Let's look at some bowl games that are coming up this weekend. What's on tap for the bowl games? Obviously, we're talking about the one currently going on. I'll give you an update on that here. It is 9-0 Florida. They kicked 3 field goals and 1 in each quarter over Tulane in the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. If you want to check that one up in the background, ESPN2. Coming up tomorrow, you got the FCS semifinals. If you're interested in that, that'll be 11 a.m. on ABC. South Dakota State, North Dakota State. South Dakota's favored by 3. Then the other semifinal, South Dakota and Montana State. Montana State favored by 8. That'll be at 2:30 p.m. on ABC. No bowl games until the 23rd, which you have the Myrtle Beach Bowl, 10 a.m. UTSA against Coastal Carolina. Both 6-6 teams. That's going to be a dumpster juice game, but it's a home game for Coastal Carolina playing at the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and they are not even close to being favored. I don't know if they put that in there. You would think they would, because technically it's a neutral site game, right? Because it's a bowl game, and bowl games are neutral site games. But I wonder if they calculate that in Vegas. Like they're playing at their home stadium. That'd be interesting to see into the thing if they calculate that. Then on Monday at 1:30, you've got Northern Illinois versus Fresno State in the famous Idaho Potatoes Bowl, 1:30 ESPN. NIU favored by 3. Then on Christmas Eve, you got the Hawaii Bowl, South Florida and San Jose State, 7 p.m. ESPN. San Jose favored by 3.5. Thursday the 26th, you've got Pittsburgh and Toledo in the Game Above Sports Bowl at 1 p.m. on ESPN. Pitt favored by 7. 4:30 that same day on ESPN, you got the Rate Bowl, Rutgers, Kansas State. Obviously, Kansas State favored in this one so far. I think that's going to be a good matchup. I'm looking forward to sneaking away and watching that at some point next week while I'm on vacation. And then we'll look at Arkansas State against Bowling Green in the 68th Ventures Bowl. That's from Mobile, Alabama, Hancock Whitney Stadium. Bowling Green favored by 7. We'll wrap things up with the Friday slate. Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, Oklahoma Navy, 11 a.m. next Friday. Oklahoma favored by 3.5. Georgia Tech Vanderbilt in the Birmingham Bowl, 2:30 p.m. next Friday, ESPN. Georgia Tech favored by 3. I've got Georgia Tech in that one. 6 p.m. next Friday, Texas Tech, Arkansas favored by 1.5 in the Liberty Bowl, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. And wrapping it up here, 7 p.m. Fox 21, Syracuse against Washington State. DirecTV Holiday Bowl. Fox's lone, one of the Fox's lone bowl games. Syracuse favored by 16 from San Diego. And wrapping up next Friday, the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. Texas A&M taking on USC, 9:30 p.m. on ESPN from Allegiant Stadium. Texas A&M should be an easy dub in that one, 8-4 versus 6-6. We will take a break here and wrap things up when we come back. We'll get a on second thought. This is 580 Sports Talk on 580 WIBW. On second thought, I did not think Patrick Mahomes was going to be able to play this game tomorrow. I mean, fingers crossed he can play tomorrow and on Christmas, but I thought they were going to rest him for one and play him in the other. But I guess right now it seems like he is completely healthy off the injury report, no designation for tomorrow's game. So as they say, he is good to go tomorrow. I really hope he is not hurting still, and like it's not showing on the game tomorrow when you tune in. But yeah, my on second thought was that Patrick Mahomes somehow is Iron Man. I guess we'll have headlines and much more coming up on the final half hour of 580 Sports Talk next year on 580 WIBW. Final hour, or I guess a half hour or so of 580 Sports Talk. Youngest in command movement, Spencer Dupuis, with you here as Dan Lucero out on site at Topeka West, getting ready for Shawnee Heights at Topeka West boys and girls basketball for the 580 Preps game of the week. Coverage beginning right around 5:30-ish. Final half hour, I'll be on the program for the rest of the calendar year of 2024. And as Dan mentioned, I can't believe it's almost been a year. We are what? Let me calculate here. We are just 1, 2, 3. We're just about 4 weeks shy of me being at 580 WIBW for one entire year. That's crazy to think about. A lot's happened in this year. A lot more responsibilities have been taken on, but we're still here, and that's the best part about it. I'm still here rocking with you guys, being able to do what I love every day, and it's talking to you guys and talking about sports, and I am so happy that I do get to do that every day, or most days. Sometimes, other duties as needed or other duties I'm responsible for do get in the way, but so excited. We're coming up on 1 year. So we'll get through some headlines. I'll talk NFL. I'll give my Chiefs, now I can't even think of the darn word that I'm trying to think of here. I'll give my Chiefs keys to the game, and we'll talk Chiefs, Texans. We'll talk rest of the NFL. We'll also do a quick AMA if we have any time before we send things out to Dan Lucero from Topeka West High School. But let's get into headlines first. We've got 2 MLB headlines as we've passed the winter meetings. Really not big signings besides Juan Soto. Talk to you about. We do have 2 smaller signings, but one guy that was expected to he had a lot of play from around the league, but the Astros and free agent first baseman Christian Walker have agreed to a 3-year, $60 million contract. Sources have confirmed to ESPN the deal is pending a physical exam. The addition of Walker in all likelihood marks the end of Alec Bregman's tenure in Houston, not to mention the Astros' ill-fated attempts to pry Nolan Arenado, from the St. Louis Cardinals. Walker manning first base for the next 3 years means Isaac Paredes, the 25-year-old corner infielder who was recently acquired from the Cubs in the trade, will probably be Bregman's replacement at third base. Walker turns 34 on March 28th, and he'll add some power to that first base spot in the middle of the order of the lineup for the Astros. He slashed 250, 332, 481 with 95 homers and 281 RBIs with the Diamondbacks over the past 3 seasons, accumulating a 10.8 Fangraphs wins above replacement, 6th amongst all first basemen. The Yankees who also expressed interest in Walker this offseason could be a landing spot for Bregman. So might the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, or Detroit Tigers. Last of which is managed by AJ Hinch, Bregman's former manager. We also have another signing today in the MLB. Patrick Sandoval and the Red Sox reach a 2-year, $18.25 million deal. The left-handed pitcher Sandoval and the Sox are in agreement on that 2-year deal, uniting the veteran who was non-tenured in November with the team looking to shore up pitching depth this year and beyond. The 28-year-old Sandoval did undergo Tommy John surgery in June, is not expected to pitch until the second half of 2025. Boston nonetheless paid a well over market rate to get Sandoval, cognizant of the heavy price of the free agent starting pitchers this winter, and hopefully Sandoval can be a solid mid-rotation starter upon his return. I think that's a lot of money you pay to a guy that is literally right off Tommy John and won't be there at spring training for you when pitchers and catchers report, won't be there for opening week as your mid-rotation starter for you. Won't be there maybe by the All-Star break. That's a lot of dough over 2 years. I mean, it's only a 2-year deal, but I don't know why they paid over market value. I'm not too sure why they paid over market value for him. That's just quite interesting here. Let's get into a number of NFL headlines that we have today. When it comes to looking at the injured reports here, as we kind of go through that every Friday of who's in, who's out, what do we know. Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith and running back Kenneth Walker III, they are off the injury report, and it appears they are going to be good to go for Sunday's game against the Vikings. A lot of players have been ruled out, though. 49ers have ruled out running back Isaiah Grendo and offensive tackle Trent Williams for Sunday's game, for the game against the Dolphins. But here's an interesting one. I think this has been widely expected after being kind of basically suspended from the team, I guess you would say, that the Ravens have in fact waived Deontay Johnson and can be claimed Monday at 4 p.m. There is, in opinion, a reasonable change, in opinion of some, according to Adam Schefter, that he could be claimed Monday. I don't know that you necessarily want to deal with I don't know that you want to deal with what he's got in the locker room. It appears that he is not great in the locker room is kind of where things are going. Eagles receiver AJ Brown is off the injury report and good to go Sunday. Panthers have ruled out receiver Xavier Leggett for Sunday's game against the Cardinals due to his hip injury. Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce have told reporters that quarterback Aiden O'Connell should be good to go to start Sunday's game versus the Jags. Colts have ruled out receiver Alec Pierce for Sunday's game. Let's see some other injury news. The Dolphins will list receiver Jalen Waddle as doubtful against the 49ers due to an injury. That is interesting. The Texans are signing tight end Irv Smith to their active roster ahead of the game against the Chiefs. I believe Irv Smith was on the preseason roster for the Chiefs, if I'm not mistaken, if he's who I am. Yes, he was. They signed him as a free agent this offseason. He did not make the team out of camp. In order to do that, they waived Steven Sims. Looking at some of the Chiefs moves here, it is official. They have taken Hollywood Brown off the injured reserve, and they've activated him from the injured reserve. I don't believe they needed to make another move because they waived Clyde Edwards-Helaire the other day. So I think they only had 52 players on their 53-man roster throughout the week, expecting Hollywood Brown to be removed off the injured reserve. They've also activated practice squad players Dion Bush and tight end Anthony Fursker via the standard elevation, and they have placed tight end Baylor Cupp on practice squad injured list. Baylor Cupp, interesting guy. He seems to be often injured, but he seems like a guy that they're trying to develop on the practice squad. Also, the latest injury report addition is we knew Chamari Connor and DJ Humphries. They're both going to be out for Saturday's game against the Texans. But today, a new addition, Leo Chanel, the linebacker, is questionable to play with an illness. It seems like throughout NFL locker rooms, there's a lot of illnesses going around as of late. So that is quite interesting that you might be without Leo Chanel. But to me, it doesn't seem like they're at all worried because they brought up Dion Bush. They didn't bring up anyone else off the practice squad. So it seems like he's questionable, but it seems like they're anticipating that he will go tomorrow. Granted any other things happening to him. that is to be expected. I think you'd expect him to go if you are the Chiefs. As I mentioned, I'll bring my keys to the game up in this one. We've got a running clock here at Topeka West, so it appears we might be going off the air earlier than anticipated, as we've got about 6 minutes left now on the running clock. So let's dive into my keys to the game for the Chiefs. You got to find rhythm with your receivers and tight ends. Obviously, when you bring back a guy in Hollywood Brown, a guy that he played one snap of the preseason, right? Just one snap. And he caught the ball, but then he hurt his AC shoulder joint. And he didn't get any rhythm there, right? No rhythm. I think you need to work in everybody. Make sure your tight ends are obviously in rhythm with everybody. And maybe you're not trying to throw the deep ball to Xavier Worthy this week. Maybe you're trying to throw him intermediate routes. Maybe you're throwing the deep ball to Hollywood Brown, and maybe they're in a little bit more sync than Xavier Worthy would be. But I'm all ears for anything to happen there when it comes to getting the receivers in and tight ends into a rhythm. Also, second one on offense, run the damn ball. They can't go away from the run. They've been going away from the run way too much lately. Way too much. It's not like they're just abandoning it outright during games, and I don't like that at all. I do not like that whatsoever. I don't like that whatsoever. I think they need to continue to run the ball, run the rock, use it, play action, use the running game to get them into passing situations. And I think you need to go back to the run later in the game, continue running later in the game. Also, switching to defense, keep the blitzing coming. It feels like there's been an uptick in sacks lately. So I think, is that Charles Omenihu's impact? Probably so. I do think that that's going to be what is going on. We've got like an uptick in sacks lately. Get Charles Omenihu in on the action. Chris Jones talked about his friendly competition. He has 5 sacks. Turk Wharton has 5.5, and George Karlaftis has 7. So I think Chris Jones is eager to get some more sacks. But it should be a good one tomorrow. You can listen to it right here on 580 Sports Talk, 11 a.m. pregame. It's a noon kickoff from Arrowhead. And when we come back after this, we will wrap things up with a final word here on 580 Sports Talk. Final word time here on 580 Sports Talk for the youngest in command movement. And my final word throughout the rest of the calendar year of 2024. Just want to wish everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's as we get ready to go into the new year. I want to thank everybody for welcoming me into Kansas this year, into Topeka, and have a great rest of your day, as well as have a great rest of your holidays, and we'll talk to you on the flip side of the calendar, and hopefully we're talking about more Chiefs wins, a Kansas State win in the bowl game, Kansas and Kansas State hoops starting conference play with a bang on the men's and women's side, all that and more. When I return at the beginning of the year, we're going to send things out to Topeka West for 580 Preps high school game of the week as Topeka West hosts Shawnee Heights. For Dan Lucerio here from him in a moment, I'm Spencer Dupuis signing off, and I'll talk to you next year.